Well, folks, I got a gem of a clip to react to in this one here today. Palantir CEO Alex Karp just went on CNBC, spoke extensively about their new partnership and about the stock price, valuation of the company, and some very interesting things going on there. So looking forward to getting that. But before we get into that, let me address the elephant in the room. There's some people making fun of me today. They're making a lot of fun. So first off, they always say on social media, whenever you post anything, at least 1% of the people that see that actually don't like you, they actually hate you, they root against you, those sorts of things, right? So if you post a video, it gets 500, or let's say it gets 50,000 views, you could assume at least 500 people watch that don't like you, right? So a lot of people were rooting that Tesla stock was going to go down because I own a lot of Tesla shares, right? So that 1% that doesn't like somebody like myself, they want to see me lose money, right? So Tesla stock doesn't. They come out with absolute banger numbers, like unbelievable. Stock goes up huge, so then they're like, crap, what do I hate on now? How do I make fun of them? Like, oh shoot, what makes myself feel good? Because I just got to say something. And so they're laughing at me because I sold 200 Tesla shares last month, right? I sold this batch of 100 shares in the public count at $252.62 last month, and took a massive, insane profit on that. And then took another insane profit on this 100 shares, $243.90 I sold those 100 at. So therefore today, I only made $60,879 on my Tesla shares I have in the public account there, right? So I could have made even more money if I still had those other 200 shares. So first off, do I wish I still had those 200 shares? Well, of course. Yeah, like, I wish I could have seen, but I sold those before I got to see the production numbers, before the 10/10 event, and before this earnings. So I could tell you, if I would have gotten to see all these new batch of information, I would have never sold at 200, right? But secondly, how insane do you got to be to try to make fun of me when I'm up $60,000 on one stock in one day? Like, what in the flip and flapjack is going on? Like, at some point, just you as a I like to try to never be mean to the people that are like, I know there's that 1% that don't like me, they hate me, they root against every stock I buy, they root against every company I own, right? They want to see me fail, they want to see me do bad. And so I try to be as nice as possible to those folks because they are supporters as well, big supporters, right? But I just gotta, like, sometimes you gotta just wake up in life and look at the mirror and be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing with yourself, right? I made 60,000 plus today in one stock. I'm up $307,000 on this batch of shares here. $307,000. I made more today. I made almost double the amount that I put into the stock here. My cost basis on these shares is $31,000. I made like $61,000 here today. That's insane, okay? So sometimes you just gotta, like, what are you doing, right? And so, congrats to the 99% of folks that watch my channel, and you're here to learn. Look at the number. That's an epic number today. $77,999 up in the public count here today, new all-time high. And congrats to everybody building your portfolios. Focus on building your wealth. Focus on learning from me and all my opinions and things like that, right? I don't get everything right. Sometimes I miss. Sometimes I miss on stocks, right? Sometimes I don't time it out right. I sell at a bad price. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, Fidelity Investments calculates the returns. And our return profile smashes, obliterates the S&P 500 over time. And it's not even close. And so the moral of the story is I'm pretty damn good at what I do. Am I perfect? No. But I'm pretty damn good. And the follower count I built over the years, there's a reason for it. There's a huge reason for it. It's not just like luck. It's not just like, oh, he got lucky. So many people follow him. So many people watch his videos. Oh my gosh. It's not like believe me, if I was in the Real Deal Holyfield, people would have stopped following me a long time ago. But every year the brand grows stronger and stronger and stronger. And the 99% realize there's a lot to learn here, right? And you learn, you adapt, and you focus on building your wealth, and you're probably at record numbers, right? Or you can go the other way and just, waste your life away just hating on people. Like, that's just not a life I could live. Like, that's a wild life. That's a wild life there, man. Holy smokus. So the whole thing's going to go by, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, all I did was hate on people my whole life. Like, dang, I never actually did anything with this one life I had, right? Palantir stock now 392% on the stock, up $192,000, up $5,300 here today on this one. I want to go ahead and react to this video from Alex Karp, which I think is a very important one. He just went on CNBC. It was probably less than an hour ago now at this point in time. And I love it because they spoke about not only this partnership. I thought they were going to do like, a little like 4-minute, 5-minute piece. No. This is actually an extensive piece talking about not only the relationship, but Alex Karp goes into the U.S. taxpayers and knowing what you're paying for, right? He goes into the business of Palantir. He goes into the valuation of Palantir and many other subjects. So I was just blown away that we went this in depth. By the way, I appreciate everybody that smashed that thumbs up button. Appreciate everybody that subscribed to the channel. And I appreciate the 99% of people that watch my channel and you guys are here to learn, hear my opinions on things and things like that. And you're focused on building your wealth because you're just going to get a lot further in life, okay? Two things I want to draw your guys' attention to before we get rolling here. One is this video I produced a few days ago on the main channel. It's called Top 7 Dividend Stocks to Buy. That's a very helpful video if you care anything about dividend stocks, okay? One of the stocks featured in that is a company named Whirlpool. Whirlpool stock here today was up something like 13% or something like that. It was the last stock I ended up mentioning of those 7 stocks, right? Already up huge on that one. So if you never got to check out that, if you care about dividend paying companies, definitely check that one out. I know these ones got a lot of the attention and views here recently, but that video is definitely could be very, very helpful. Additionally, if you want to apply for access to 1000xstocks.com, which is our research platform, right? We have charts, financials, metrics, advanced metrics, earnings calls, SEC filings. We have our basic education portion and our advanced education portion, the ability to compare 3 different companies versus each other on all the different metrics. This is stuff you can't get anywhere else. And the projections tab, if you want access to all that, apply for access, go to 1000xstocks.com and you can apply for access to it. We've just knocked out the ballpark. I'm so grateful for the team I have in regards to building this out. It's been unbelievable. I can't believe how much progress we've made in this short of an amount of time. It's insane. So yeah, once again, if you want to apply for access, you can go to apply for access right there on 1000xstocks.com. Alrighty, let's go ahead and watch this. Looking forward to getting into it.
Harris announcing a strategic partnership to bring together Palantir's AI and L3Harris's hardware to help the military make better decisions faster, improve communications systems, and accelerate L3Harris's digital transformation. So joining me right here at CNBC headquarters on set, Palantir CEO and co-founder Alex Karp and L3Harris Chair and CEO Chris Kubasik. Gentlemen, welcome. Great to have you both here.
Good to be here.
All right, so I got to start with earnings because L3Harris, you just also reported earnings.
By the way, before we get into this, I just think it's very important I mention this. Palantir, partnerships. Like more and more other companies are trying to partner with Palantir, right? And I just think that's big. When you see so many other tech companies or even companies outside of tech continue to try to partner with Palantir, right? I think that's very, very meaningful. Very meaningful.
You're boosting your margin guidance as well. How much of this is a reflection of growing defense demand? How much of this is a reflection of the normalization of supply chains?
Yeah, look, Maureen, it was a great quarter. This is the 5th consecutive quarter we've exceeded expectations. And it really goes back a couple years to the strategy that we've laid out. Everything we're putting in place is starting to fall together. You know, when I look at our board, we have about half the board is new, half my leadership team is new. We brought all the employees back, did away with hybrid earlier this year. So I obviously have to recognize and thank them for a great quarter. Supply chain is easing. Our LHX Next initiative is working. So really everything is coming together nicely. We made 2 acquisitions that are aligned with the future of the warfare and national defense strategy. We divested non-core assets. So if you're going to be the trusted disruptor, you got to have change. You got to embrace change. We've had a lot of change, and it's exciting. But the hallmark of the strategy is partnership. So I'm actually more excited to be on stage here with Alex to talk about our partnership than I am a great third quarter. So that's how I look at it.
So let's talk about this partnership. Alex, you've inked a number of them at Palantir. In recent months, even just Microsoft, Oracle. What does inking a partnership with another defense prime enable?
Well, first of all, delighted to be here. Congratulations on the quarter. There's a lot of reasons to deepen our partnership and expand it, but primarily, actually, Chris, he's a real disruptor. He drives innovation inside of his company. And then, quite frankly, he's better networked and understands the DC environment, certainly in a way that, we may never. And so the combination of, and then, what I think our nation needs is the America's best unifying around where we have a structural advantage, which is the integration of hardware and software. China and Russia are just not as good at software, and the integration of both allows you to produce more lethal technologies. So how do we move from passive defense to we scare our adversaries every day, obviously in a way that they can't replicate? And the obvious way you do that is you move to AI-driven targeting with ethical means that's going to require software with the most disruptive companies in DC, led by, a quite inspirational leader. So, we want to bring...
The important thing to understand about the defense side of the business, right? Let me be crystal clear. I'm not invested in Palantir. I'm not a Palantir shareholder because of the defense side of the business. I'm invested in Palantir because of the commercial side of the business and the growth runway that particular business has over this next 10, 15, 20 years. But as a Palantir shareholder, I can't act like it doesn't matter. The bottom line is, the moral of the story is, Palantir still does the biggest numbers on the government side of the business. The commercial side is the one that's growing much more rapidly, right? It's growing at an unbelievable scale, especially United States. But the biggest numbers, the biggest absolute numbers is still from government. And so we got to understand, anytime they do partner with a company in the defense area or some sort of government agency signs a big contract, it's usually adds up to huge absolute dollars, okay? And so just understand these sorts of things can be game changers for Palantir in terms of, pushing its revenue forward and the profitability.
Also, they're a massive commercial company, just purely. One of the things about L3 is that they're, one of the things that unifies us is we're not really defense integrators. We're commercial companies that are patriotic. And so how do we get the best patriotic companies to produce the most lethal technology in the world for America and not for our adversaries? And how do we get it to the DoD in ways that are cheaper, in ways that the margins are better? And it's a great partner.
So how do you do that, Chris? And I think about, you're a defense prime on a number of programs, but you're also a subcontractor on some, like Titan, which Palantir is the software prime and the defense prime on. So what does this enable from your standpoint? How quickly can you develop these new technologies, next generation capabilities for the warfighter?
Yeah, well, as you and I have talked about, the arsenal of democracy. So you go back to World War II, right, where the defense industrial base and the government worked collaboratively to build 300,000 airplanes, 85,000 tanks, and 9,000 ships to win the war. The future of warfare and the future arsenal of democracy is not more platforms, not more planes, ships, and tanks. It's the convergence of our leading edge hardware, software, and AI. So you mentioned Titan, a perfect example. I'm happy to prime, sub, merchant supplier. They're leading this. We're providing all the resilient comms, all the communication architecture, the communication hardware. There's another program, we talk about real-time targeting. We have targeting systems, think of those as the eyes for the warfighter, usually airborne platforms. And we can identify targets. We've integrated their AI. It lightens the workload for the warfighter. It increases the probability of detection, and you end up with a better result. So it's all about shortening the kill chain. And
what we've seen in Ukraine and in other places is the old ways of doing battle with kind of hard, large systems that are not AI driven just cannot survive on the battlefield anymore. The Russians and our peer-to-peer adversaries are using electronic warfare. And so what you're going to have to do is deliver a cheaper, more accurate payload that is the convergence of AI, autonomous systems, and hardware. And that's got to be done then. And then you also have to produce at rates we haven't produced. So how do you get the manufacturing to work better? How do you get the supply chain to work better? How do you bring violence to our enemies while using ethical standards that the West believes in? So when do you attack? Under what conditions do you attack? Do you attack if there's civilians? How many civilians? In what area? What radius to schools? How do you make sure that the people we're hitting are our actual adversaries? How do you take out this dumb, but leave the intelligent generals alive?
So obviously these are pretty taboo subjects for some people. Some people just understand this is the way of life, right? Like that's the way of the world. Like we wish it could be different ways, but it is certain ways, right? But it reminds me a little bit of the original Iron Man. You know, the one obviously Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man 1 there, and you know she's trying to push back against him, and he says, "My dad believed in." The one who has the biggest stick wins or something like that, right? And she goes, well, that sounds pretty good coming from a guy selling sticks. And so at the end of the day, like, we wish we probably didn't need defense, right? We probably wish we didn't need any of this technology, but it is a world we live in. And so, you know, you can hope it would just not be this way. And, you know, we wouldn't need any weapon systems and we wouldn't need any of this advanced software and AI and all this stuff, right? It's the world we live in, right? And we know if you do not have strong defense, you are very vulnerable. That's just been proven throughout all of human history, right? Go back through thousands of years in human history. And, you know, weak towns, cities, you know, before they were called cities, weak territories, weak countries, what happened to them? They got taken over. And that's just always been the way it's been for thousands of years with humans. We wish it didn't have to be that way, but it is the way it is. And so some people don't feel comfortable about like the defense side of Palantir's business. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, folks. Someday you got to wake up and smell it.
But leave the intelligence generals alive that are kind of misaligned with their own country and take out the idiots, or vice versa. These things are really important decisions. And then for Americans watching this, Americans want to know that their dollar spent is a dollar well spent,
well put.
Whether that's in the DOD or any other place. So commercial entities, commercial companies that are also patriotic, or in our case, patriotic first and commercial equally, are important also for the integrity of our country. Every single person is wondering, okay, of course I want the best war system in the world, and I want something our adversaries couldn't replicate. What did it cost? What were the margins? Did it work? Is this something that is commercially viable? Would a commercial entity ever buy this? Those are very legitimate and important questions for the integrity of our society, and our partnership goes a long way to answer.
That's a great point he's bringing up there, and I think that's big for sales, right? Especially in the government area, because if you would always think private sector is way more intelligent than the government is. It's just the way it is. And in regards to like buying things, allocating capital, anybody that's been alive for any amount of time and paid attention to the system knows that private sector much more intelligent than public sector, right? In regards to spending, much more thoughtful about the spend, right? Because the public sector really has like unlimited spend. Governments just spend crazy amounts and they just up the amounts and up the amounts. Private sector has finite amounts, right? And they need to get a return for their shareholders and all those things. So at the end of the day, when you see Palantir's business taking off in the commercial space and how valuable it is to companies that have very finite amounts of money to spend, and they say Foundry is a game changer for us, AIP is a game changer for us, we need to spend on that. The governments can look at that and say, gosh, like, you know, the military can look at that even though they're already sold on Palantir's products, right? But if they need any more help selling, being sold on Palantir, look no further than what Palantir's doing in the private sector, right? And so that's when you know you really have special products and services, in my opinion, in the marketplace.
Some rooms where I'm more welcome, mostly people who are investors in Palantir, or often, in many cases, on the battlefield. And there are some rooms where they would rather talk to Chris, and I'd rather have them talk to whoever they'd rather talk to. We need to get the best products on the battlefield, and that often requires partnership.
What are the lessons learned, to the extent you can talk about them, about AI deployed on the battlefield? I think about the Middle East, where CENTCOM's using Maven. Palantir's involved in that program. It's now being deployed to other parts of the world as well. Just today, the White House issuing this national security memorandum on AI, talking about that, the fact that they need more AI deployed more quickly to the warfighter in military context, but that there need to be guardrails in place as well.
When we took over Maven, it was, AI was viewed as a joke. We took it over because Silicon Valley notoriously thinks the job of Silicon Valley is to get rich first and to not support our warfighters. So we took that over, and then what the DOD, and I'm very happy to see Jake Sullivan writing about, it's very important, has learned is the being able to identify and take out our adversaries in a way that's more precise, quicker, and more lethal than anyone else in the world can, gives us a structural advantage, a structural A, because it's quicker and better and safer and more violent, and it's also better because our adversaries just are not that great at doing it. And so what the U.S. has learned in Project Maven, what the Ukrainians have learned, what the Israelis have learned is this is a structural way both to integrate the base. So also it makes companies that are already valuable 5 times more valuable because you can control what you buy, you can control the manufacturing, you can control right down to where you can use fewer munitions. The munitions can be lower cost, but they have to be produced quicker. You can explain to your people. So all these lessons, what they're basically seeing is Congress, the DOD, the White House are saying, wait a minute, we have this amazing structural advantage and we need to take advantage of it. There's a banality that we forget. Almost everybody in the AI world is American. And then almost everyone who's doing kind of munitions and targeting at scale with hardware and software is also American. And another advantage we have is we can just transform our industry because we have exceedingly agile CEOs and work environments, unlike Europe. So what we're basically seeing across the legislative and DOD is people saying, wait a minute, we need to do a lot more of this. We need to see partnerships. We need to see people working together, and we need to bring this to our warfighter. And that's exactly what that memorandum basically says.
Speaking of agile work environments, you just talked about the fact that you have this next program. One of the things in this release, you're going to hit your cost-saving targets a year early.
Right.
You are also a commercial customer of Palantir.
Absolutely.
As well. So when at a time where more broadly investors and company CEOs are saying, okay, application layer of AI, where's it going to go in my company? How am I going to deploy it? How much am I going to invest? And most importantly, what's my...
I was just thinking about the interview of Alex Karp. You guys remember this one? It was a couple of years ago now. And I think it was actually when Palantir stock was doing really bad in 2022. And he was spinning the book on his finger. Oh man, that's a classic. That's such a classic.
What's it going to look like? What are you seeing at L3Harris?
We're seeing great progress. So we've laid out a transformation of the company. We call it LHX Next. First phase was really focused on cost takeout. We're going to meet those goals, beat them and exceed them. The second phase is transforming the company. Right? And in the old days, you just blow up your system, spend hundreds of millions of dollars, and shut everything down for years. We have hundreds of systems, ERP systems, finance, labor, manufacturing. The Foundry product has the ability to extract the data, knit it together, and get it to us in real time. So we're getting data timely and accurate. We're able to make data-based decisions. It ultimately leads to a better company, more agile company, more profitable. It's been a great partnership. This is something that's going to change for the benefit of the shareholders and our customers.
Palantir, third best company, third best performer in the S&P 500, even though it's a new entrant. A lot of analysts don't necessarily fully understand, I think, what you do on all aspects, but investors certainly seem to get it. Particularly on the commercial side, I realize there's been a reacceleration in the U.S. government business, but the commercial business is really what's propelling the stock. What are you seeing, especially as you do have these artificial intelligence platform boot camps and adoption levels?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, to your first, intelligent people learn from their mistakes and learn to realize when they made a mistake in the pattern. Everyone else becomes an analyst or an advisor. So, people have been saying we're overvalued for the last 20 years. People have been saying our products would make us profitable, that we would not be able to become a juggernaut, that we would not become GAAP profitable, we would not get on the S&P. And, keep saying that about us. We love it. It discourages people from doing anything like what we're doing, and we are winning. Now, why are we winning in U.S. commercial? Because we learned.
And Palantir is another example. It amazes me. Why do so many people hate on this stock? So many people want to see Palantir stock go down. They root against that stock, right? Not nearly as many as Tesla. Tesla has a whole another level of haters in regards to Tesla stock and Elon Musk, right? That's a whole different level and category out there in terms of how many people root against that, want to root against Elon Musk and want to see Tesla fail and all those sorts of things, right? But Palantir's a company that's pretty high up there in regards to just people don't they want to root against it. They want to see it do bad. My thought is, a lot of people have made a lot of money in Palantir stock, and I think a lot of people don't like that. I just got to be honest with you guys. I think anytime people do very well on an asset, I think naturally it attracts a level of hate, and especially when that asset's talked about a lot, right? I don't understand it. Like that has no meaning on your life. You know what I mean? Like if somebody else makes a lot of money on a stock, it doesn't hurt you. That's not the way this works. It's not like a zero-sum game. It's not like, oh, somebody's doing what. The only thing it does is maybe hurt your feelings because like you see somebody else making a lot of money and you're like, I don't want to make that so much money, right? Like Palantir, what are we up like 400% or close to 400% on that stock, right? Other people have to be in, an index fund for decades to make that sort of gain. And so, like, I guess they just kind of look at it like, they make so much money, it's overvalued, it's not unfair, my life's not fair. Like, holy smokes, man! Like, who cares? Like, people have made ridiculous sums of money on Ethereum and Bitcoin and other million different assets, and it's like, good for you. Like, awesome. Like, I don't need to be invested in it, but like, if that's you, do your thing, make your money. Like, sweet. Like, gold's at all-time highs right now. I don't own any gold, but you don't see me hating on it. I hope gold goes down. Gold. Do your thing. Like, make money. Like, that's awesome, man. The more money everybody makes, the more we can all thrive in this game, right? At the end of the day, if somebody is not making money, like, how are they gonna, if somebody's not making money, how are they gonna get 1000xstocks.com, right? How are they gonna get 1000xstocks.com if they're not making money? They can't. I need people to make money. I need people to do well in their investments. I need people to do well in general. Because the better people do, guess what? Then they actually have money to spend in my business, at my 1000xstocks.com. Isn't that amazing? Right? That's why I root for everybody. I hope everybody makes money. Like, I want everybody's stocks to succeed, whether I'm invested or not. It hurts me when somebody loses money on a stock, like they get involved in whatever company and they don't make money. Like, I'd much rather have everybody make money, because the more money everybody makes in this world, the more money they're going to be able to spend at my products and services, right? On my 1000xstocks.com, the more they're going to be able to spend at Cheesecake Factory, one of my stocks, right? And go on vacation at Wynn Resorts in Asia or in Las Vegas, right? And go spend on some new Nikes and go spend on Meta, right? And go watch some more ads on Instagram and all the companies and go buy a Tesla. Like, that's what I'm talking about, right? I could never understand this like thought process of like rooting against people, rooting against companies that make money. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? All you're doing is hurting yourself. Literally, all you're doing is hurting yourself. The less well people do, the less well you're going to do. And you have to understand that at some point.
U.S. commercial, because we learned in the government that what makes AI valuable is the ability to manage algorithms or large language models. Every financial analyst wakes up in the morning and with notable exceptions that we really revere, wakes up in the morning, and after they stay at Motel 6, they have a huge opinion about how to manage large language models. It's completely theoretical and idiotic. If you want to manage large language models or AI, the infrastructure that allows you to manage them is where the actual value is. The large language model is essentially a commodity that you can value and use depending on cost and veracity. And they completely don't get it. But you know who does get it? Our commercial American customers. And despite the fact that we barely have a sales team and that I'm providing my pontifications of truth, including America's a great country, which many of them don't like, our allies deserve protection, Israel is in the right, whatever is pissing them off, they're still buying the product. And the reason they're buying it is because our ontology and our AIP allow you to deploy and use AI in a way where it changes your margins, it changes your go-to-market, it changes your ability to kill or take out adversaries in a much safer way with much lower costs. And American companies are dynamic and interesting and run by some of the best people in the world, some of whom are much better at partying core than you'd ever imagine on TV. And they adopt. And so, it's like, do you want to believe what the librarian says about a book, or do you want to go out in the world and see if it works? And we are in the business of making our commercial customers work. And sure, yeah, we have a ton of player haters. Keep hating on us. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, final question for both of you, really. I'm not going to get into the election specifically, but when you look... Honestly,
she could have just left it there. Like, that was kind of a drop the mic moment. Like, holy smokes, that was no joke, because Alex Karp, you go, baby.
That outcome looks like, what are the key areas, whether it's regulation, whether it's defense spending, whether it's something else, what are the key areas of policy that are going to need to be addressed?
Well, look, I've said it before, the whole ecosystem needs to be on a wartime footing. right? We need a budget. I've said before on the show, China and Russia don't have continuing resolutions. We need a budget. We need the DoD to award contracts quicker. I don't care if they're commercial or traditional defense. I think there's huge opportunities to allow our company and other companies to be treated as a commercial enterprise. Everybody in DoD and DC loves commercial companies. Put out the RFP, let us propose, make a decision, and let's move quickly. And then, of course, we have all in industry have been building up capacity. There's not enough capacity in the defense industrial base for the demand that we need. So I think let's get a budget, let's make some awards, give us a chance to execute. I think the future is hardware, software, and AI. I think we're well positioned for the long term. I couldn't be more excited to be here with Alex and be a partner of Palantir.
So I obviously agree with what Chris said. I think for me, the most important thing any administration can do is articulate a patriotic message. America and the way we organize things is something we are willing to fight for. And then once you've articulated we are going to fight for our way of life, a lot of decisions follow. And then how do you fight for it in the DoD context? Well, if hardware, software, hybrid AI is our advantage, then maybe you should look at okay, well, who are the people who do it? Buying software and AI from somebody who's never built any system that's ever worked, or buying it from a PowerPoint, or not having a commercial vendor preference is literally suicide. So, but the first thing is to say, and then I would start renaming things. It's I don't understand why we have a Department of Defense. We should have a Department of Offense. And the other, I personally believe we have to have red lines, and then we should go ahead and violate them to show people how serious we are. Why do we wait till our enemies attack? It makes no sense. It does not lead to peace. You have this famous thing, it's a paradox of thrift, where if you oversave, you get poorer, which every progressive learns. It's tattooed on our bodies. There's a paradox of violence. If you never use violence, the world gets more violent. And so we need patriotism and competence and a willingness to use violence. And I don't know why we wait till people get up and hurt us, kidnap us. And last not least, as I've said over and over, if you touch an American citizen, we will go after you. We'll go after your assets. We'll go after everything. We can keep on going for generations. We cannot allow people to just kidnap and kill Americans wantonly and then say we're going to have a memorandum at the United Nations, essentially an academic institution that pushes papers for despots. So we really need to change our footing on this. And by the way, we're in a position to do it because our economy is the strongest in the world. We're the only people producing AI. We have the best CEOs in the world, and we have the best warfighters in the world.
All right. Palantir CEO Alex Karp, L3Harris CEO Chris Kubasik. Thank you both for joining me here on set.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, big exclusive there. Well, breaking.
Oh man, that's too good. Alex Karp, passionate as always, right? Definitely a gem. Always a happy shareholder of Palantir, and I hope you guys all are as well, because it's been a pretty dang good stock, and I'm sure it'll be even a lot more fun in the future. If you're looking for access to the best research investment platform out there, check out 1000xstocks.com. You can apply for access and go ahead and start enjoying that. Much love and have a great day.